In this video, we're going to fly through 5 of the best loadouts you can use inside Warzone right now after the Season 1 Reloaded update. We're going to fly through these loadouts very quickly because you can get your hands on these guns pretty easily now, and we're going to get through this super quick. So for the number 1 loadout, you do still want to use the MTZ Interceptor along with the Swarm. Neither of these guns got a nerf with this update. Now, when it comes to the class setup for the Interceptor, this is what you see on screen just now. Nothing much has actually changed with this gun, to be fair. So you want to use the Spitfire Suppressor, the Longshot Pro Barrel, you want to use the Creo Eagle's Eye Optic, 20 round mags, and the Brune Heavy Support Grip. Now, you can choose anything else. Some people are using some ammunition options, but I do think the Underbarrel Grip is actually the better choice here. So I do think this is the best build for the Interceptor. Moving now quickly into the WPS Swarm. Again, this build hasn't really changed too much. The only thing I would recommend is this new JAK-BFB muzzle, which is currently stating in-game to give you a 60% recoil reduction, which is absolutely insane. Now, whether it's giving you 60%, I'm not quite sure, but it's definitely helping a lot with recoil. So if you are using a muzzle on certain SMGs, I do recommend this one. Then we are using the Kimura laser sight for the better movement speeds. The WSP factory stock, or you can use the Fortress heavy stock, personal preference there. If you want a bit more control, then you can go with that one. Then we are using the 50 round mags. In this case, I prefer movement, but if you do want a larger mag and you don't really want to care too much about the movement, then you can go for the 100 round mag option, which is also a really good choice. And then lastly, we're using the Brune Heavy Support Grip, but again, you can go for a max movement build and use something like DR6 hand stop or the Edge hand stop, so both of those are good options as well. Moving into the second loadout that we've got here is the AMR Cat sniper rifle. This is the only sniper rifle you should be using in this game because it's the only one that can one-shot headshot without any weird rounds. And then the AMR 9, which got a buff. So let's get on into the Cat AMR firstly. So the build for this doesn't really change too much. This is kind of like a hybrid between bullet velocity and getting a good fast kind of aim down sight, along with kind of getting your shots off relatively quick. So it's a kind of balanced build. It's not super long range build because also we can go for more of the stabilizing attachments. But when it comes to suppressor, we're using the Sonic suppressor here, which gives you bullet velocity. The Zang barrel, which again gives you bullet velocity as well and damage range. We're using the Delta optic, which is a 5.5x optic, my personal favorite one, but you can choose something else if you prefer. We are using the quick bolt. This is absolutely not necessary, but I do think it's going to help out when you're trying to get those shots off really quickly. But if you do want to have something else on here, like a laser for faster ADS, you could do that as well. And then we are using high velocity rounds here as well to get the best possible bullet velocity. Moving on into the AMR 9 now. Now, obviously, you could build this gun more towards sniper support, which is obviously what this gun's going to be really good for after this update, because it did get some damage buffs, which is exactly what I needed. But this is a more SMG build, personal preference there, when I just like building SMGs this way. So we are using the JAK-BFB, but again, you can use suppressor instead. We are using the Kimura laser sight for the better movement speeds, but again, you can remove this and put a barrel on here to help with the recoil control if you do need that for more of your sniper support build. We are using the tactical stock, and that's going to help with the aim walking speed. Again, strafe speed is very important inside this game. We are using the 50 round mags, which is obviously the best option. You can go for 100 rounds, but again, it's going to slow you down way too much. And then we are using the DR6 hand stop, which is actually slightly better than the Edge hand stop in my personal opinion. That's for movement based build only. Again, like I said, you can swap that out for maybe like the Brune Heavy Support Grip if you want that sniper support build. For loadout 3, we've got the Pomo and we've got the Striker, and both of these guns are pretty much the same as before. The Striker never actually got an update at all, to be honest. But the Pomo did get a nerf, but it still feels insanely good in the game right now. So going over the build, again, this hasn't really changed too much. You do want to use the exact same build as before. So Spitfire Suppressor, the Annihilator, which is going to be coming from the conversion kit. So you do need the conversion kit there, but you can obviously use the base weapon. It still feels pretty good as well. We are using the Eagle's Eye optic once again, but again, that's personal preference. You can choose another optic if you like. Some of these other optics actually help with ADS speed, especially since we're losing an attachment. You can actually go for something like the CAS-14, which will give you a bit of aim down sight speed as well, but I still prefer the Eagle's Eye, just personal preference there. Then we are using the Commando recoil pad, the one that actually helps with recoil control. So the gun kick control option here, that is the one you want to be using. And this gun still feels insanely good when it comes to TTKs. Even though they nerfed it, it still feels solid. Obviously, we're pairing this with the Striker, and this is my personal favorite Striker build at the moment, which is the stubby barrel, which helps with movement speed. This gun already has really good recoil control, so we don't need super good recoil control attachments on this gun. Unless we're building it for sniper support, then you can change some of these about. We are using the Kimura laser once again. We are using the Lochmann light stock again for the movement speed and sprint fire options that we're going to get with this. We've got 60 round mag on here. You could choose the 48 if you want a bit more movement speed, but I just like having the larger mag option, to be honest. And then we are using that DR6 hand stop. Just keep that in mind to swap that over once you unlock it there, because it is slightly better when it comes to aim down sight speeds. For loadout number 4, we've got the BAS-B along with the HRM9, which is the new SMG in this game. Now, I don't think this gun is amazing, to be perfectly honest. It's just because it's one of the newer options. I did want to put it on this list, so you have got a build that you can use if you are using this weapon. But the BAS-B is a solid long range option right now. It's absolutely insanely broken at the moment. Still think it's probably one of the best guns in the game. So when it comes to the build, you do want to use the same exact build as before. So Spitfire suppressor, Bruin Venom long barrel, Eagle's Eye optic, 45 round mags. And then when it comes to the underbarrel grip, the angled grip does actually help with the horizontal recoil a lot more than the Bruin heavy grip, but that's going to come down to personal preference. So if you do want to use the Bruin heavy, you can go ahead and do that, but the angled grip definitely helps a bit more with the horizontal side to side shake. So that is up to you. And you can also swap out that suppressor there and put on that broken muzzle attachment at the moment until it gets fixed, and it's still going to help with that 60% reduction there, as you can see. So if you don't really care about being suppressed on these long range options, then you can still choose this muzzle option at the moment. Moving on into the HRM9 now, again we've got that Jack BFB muzzle, the DR6 hand stop, we've got the Princeps long barrel, which is going to help with bullet velocity and range. And then we also do have the folding stock, which helps with recoil control and gun kick control. And then we do have the 50 round drum mag. So this is more of a balanced SMG build. You can obviously go full movement and take the hatchet light instead. This is definitely going to give you better strafing speeds. And you can also remove the barrel and put on a laser if you really wanted to as well. So it just depends on where you're going with this gun. But the recoil control on this gun is relatively decent anyways. And we do need to kind of find out what the TTKs are for this weapon, but it doesn't feel too great for an SMG. I don't think it's going to be meta, to be perfectly honest. The fifth and final loadout is the TAQ-Evolver LMG, which is the new LMG, along with the WSP9, which is a solid SMG in the game right now. So we'll go over the WSP9 quickly, and we are using that Jack BFB muzzle once again for the recoil control benefits, as we've mentioned before. The DR6 hand stop underbarrel for the movement speeds, as we mentioned before. The Kimura laser sight for the movement speeds, again, as we mentioned before. The the WSP factory stock, which again is going to help with movement speed once again. You can remove this actually and put on more of a recoil controlling attachment instead if you prefer. I don't think this gun needs super good recoil control because it's already quite a slow firing weapon, but that's personal preference. And then we are using the largest mags here, which is the 50 round mags, but this is a really solid choice when it comes to SMGs. And lastly, we've got the TAQ-Evolver LMG. So we've got the Spitfire suppressor, or we can use that BFB muzzle if you want, again, if you don't really care about being suppressed. Now, when it comes to barrels, we've got two options. We've got the one that helps with recoil control, which is the heavy barrel. Then we've got the long barrel, which helps with bullet velocity. And it only helps with bullet velocity about 100 meters per second more than this one here. So, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a better option. Then we do have the laser light on here for better ADS speeds and better sprint to fire speeds. I just think it's very useful for an LMG. We are using the 50 round mags. You can just stick with the base mags and use a different attachment like an optic or something, for example, but I think having the better movement speeds is definitely a bonus. And then we are using the B052 grip, which is going to help with the recoil control. Now, it doesn't help massively, and that is why maybe you might want to remove the laser potentially, put an optic on there, and maybe use a rear grip that's going to help with recoil control a bit more. For example, this one here, which is the PG grip, or whatever it's called, so the P grip aim. These have got weird names right now because they're bugged out, so I mean, you could choose one of them instead. But this is personally my favorite build. I think it should give you a good balance, and the iron sights on this gun are really good as well, so you don't really need an optic on here. But that is the top 5 loadouts to use right now. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.